Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. I appreciate your patience as well. I was going to have this live stream earlier today, but I could not. To my super chat, I cannot do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be doing a lot more live streams on this channel. So please go ahead. If you want to support these live streams, if you enjoy them, follow V Pollard starting it off. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate your support, everybody. And to my super chat again, thank you. If you want to talk about the criminal charges leveled at Trump, we'll get to that in a second. The same charges were leveled at Madam Secretary by DeSantis and other Republicans in 2018. And I believe also in 2019, Devin Nunes, Chuck Grassley, and others. But, congressional a referral to the Department of Justice is nothing new. We've seen that before, okay? They're making a big deal out of it because it's Donald Trump, but we'll get to that, and we're going to talk about the Twitter files. This is going to be an epic live stream. Hit subscribe, become a member of this channel. To my super chat, thank you so much. I will also have a live stream this evening on H.A. Goodman's other channel. So tell your friends, let's get started. Falvey Pollard, thank you so very much for starting off the super chat. Greatly appreciated it as always. Eric Samurai, everybody here, Jeff, Shelly, Kristen, thanks for tuning in. Tell your friends about this channel. Share the link with anyone who might enjoy my thoughts and this topic. I want to first start off with the Twitter files, part 7. And the really interesting thing is you have Matt Taibbi, and we talked about that yesterday evening. And those were the Twitter files from yesterday. Then Michael Schellenberger today, Twitter files part 7, the Bureau and Hunter Biden's laptop, how the Bureau and intelligence community discredited factual information about Hunter's foreign business dealings both after and before the New York Post revealed the contents of his laptop on October 14th, 2 years ago. Why did they do this, ladies and gentlemen? Give me your thoughts. Okay, Paul Bartlett, thank you. Thank you, Paul. Greatly appreciated. Why do you think they did this? Gail, hello. They did this because the truth, Falvey, thank you again as always. The truth, Paul, Falvey, everybody here, Eric, leads to felonies. Not just a criminal referral, but felonies. The truth leads to felonies for both Hunter and Joe. There's a difference between, we're going to investigate Trump and never indict him, and, this isn't real. It could be information from another country to lead you astray. They're doing this, they're hiding information detrimental to the Democratic Party for political purposes. It's not because they want to stop a foreign intelligence apparatus. It's because Hunter's laptop was always real. It always led to graft and potential bribery schemes. People are giving money to Hunter. U.S. foreign policy is being altered. He didn't just force out a prosecutor, for example, because for his health. He forced out a prosecutor and said, you're not going to get $1 billion in loan guarantees. It was not U.S. foreign policy. President Obama never told him to do that. And even the people that he was trying to intimidate, the officials in a country that was invaded under Democratic Party watch, said, hey, you don't have the authority to do that. If you watch, I believe it's the Council on Foreign Relations, where Biden he thinks that he's the man. He's just explaining how you're not going to get this billion. And you know what? Then they forced out a prosecutor. Well, that prosecutor was going to investigate a company, a corporation that was paying Hunter hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, close to $1 million a year. And so it's interesting how the reason that whenever it comes to a Steele dossier, they say, hey, no problem. It's not true. We found out it wasn't true. Oopsie, no big deal. When it's information that's actually true about Hunter or Hillary or anyone else, the entire American political establishment says, don't believe it. It's not real. It's a conspiratorial theory. You can't truly be suspicious of us. It's about suspicion and it's about distrust. They don't want you to be suspicious of them. And they want you to be suspicious of Trump. While at the same time, the government is getting involved in silencing critics and silencing discontent or suspicion or skepticism. When you have the First Amendment being broken because the government, through government agencies, are working with Twitter, that's a huge problem. That's a very huge problem. Okay? And that's something that we're finding out from the Twitter files. The government was getting involved. Okay? The government was getting involved. So, the Bureau on Hunter's laptop, how the Bureau and intelligence community discredited the factual information of Hunter's foreign business deals. In Twitter Files Part 6, we saw the Bureau relentlessly seeking to exercise influence over Twitter, including its contents, its user, and its data. Simply saying that, well, we work with other corporations too. It's like, no, you were siding with a political party. Who benefits from all of this? Just ask yourself who benefits from all of this. That's the issue. You have to ask yourself who benefits from all of this, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? One political side benefits. Falvey Pollard, thank you again. Paul Bartlett, thank you. To my super chat, thank you. I can't do this without you. So, in Twitter File 7, we present evidence pointing to an organized effort by representatives of the intelligence community aimed at senior executives at news and social media companies to discredit leaked information about Hunter before and after it was published. The story begins in December 2019 when a Delaware computer store owner named John Paul Mac Isaac contacts the Federal Bureau of Investigation about a laptop that Hunter had left with him. On December 9, 2019, the Bureau issues a subpoena for and takes Hunter's laptop. They already had the laptop. They already had the laptop. They knew it wasn't. They knew it was real. They knew that it wasn't a plot by another country because they already had the corresponding financial transactions. They already knew that they had the corresponding financial transactions. They had they could have interviewed the people that Hunter emailed to see if it was, categorically without a shadow of a doubt his laptop, but they already knew that. The New York Post already stated that it was there was no question in 2 years ago in 2020. There was really no question. What they tried to do is say, well, we don't know. It could have been some other, and they could have added emails. It's like, well, we saw from the Democratic National Committee emails, they were actually the Democratic Party's emails. We know Hillary's emails. We know the Clinton campaign foundation, Democratic National Committee, Congressional Committee. We know all of those emails were out. They were all legitimate. We already know that Hunter did foreign business deals. And you had Tony Bubalinski, his business associate, saying, yeah, those are his emails. You already had that. There was this is why people do not trust media. There was no effort to truly find out if this this was the result of criminal or corrupt activity on the part of Hunter. There was no effort to find out that if Joe and Hunter lied through their teeth, if Joe Biden lied, because those emails show that he had met with Hunter's business associates. Okay. Trump did not do that. Kushner and Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. did not do that. That's the difference. Don't you understand, ladies and gentlemen? They're continually caught with their pants down. And then when they get suspended, like you have Washington Post or New York Times or other journalists get suspended for actually trying to harm Elon Musk, they say, oh, it's just like when we suspended an endless number of conservative accounts. I mean, the hypocrisy, the irony is unbelievable. These people live within a murky, like a moral relativism that's so duplicitous and disingenuous. Free speech to them means they're able to silence anyone they don't like. But if they're suspended, oh my God, they can then say, well, it's not really free speech. It's just a matter of, who controls speech. That's their argument. Their argument now is, oh, you're suspending people. That's what we did, and you didn't like that. It's like, well, but you did that for political ideology. Elon Musk is doing that because they're actually trying to harm him. That's the difference. By August 2020, Mac Isaac still had not heard back from the Bureau, even though he had discovered evidence of criminal activity. That's because the Bureau was covering up for a political party, the same political party it helped in 2016 by investigating Trump. And then when they say, well, Comey wrote the Comey letter, yeah, there was only so much he could do to cover up. The investigation into Hillary's emails was a cover up. You'd have to be a complete imbecile not to understand this. I wrote about that in the Daily Caller. That was a cover up. Okay? You have the Federal Bureau of Investigation, other agencies, people like John Brennan and James Clapper. They're siding with Democrats because media, the vast majority of media is essentially an extension of the Democratic Party. People, that's why you have never Trump Republicans. It's not about value system because they like Trump's policies. It's the media hysteria. They don't want the heat. They don't want the heat from the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN, MSNBC. They don't want that heat. They don't want that never-ending media coverage. So, if these institutions and multinational, organizations, these things are run by wonderful, highly educated, morally superior liberal Democrats. Liberal Democrats. Okay? That's the thing. They're run by liberal Democrats, and if you look at where government if you look at the government agencies that side with the political party, the reason they're siding with the political party is because they derive power and influence from the media coverage. That's one of the issues. So it's this symbiotic relationship. You have the Federal Bureau of Investigation covering for one political party, and they're getting positive treatment. They're getting a overwhelmingly positive media coverage, and they're getting the full support of the Democratic Party. With Trump, he didn't even have the full support of the Republican Party. He didn't even have the full support of the Republican Party, and he had zero support in media. So intelligence agencies slither towards power. They have no incentive. They have no incentive to side with Trump. They have every incentive, especially if Trump is the anti-interventionist. Especially if, think about that for a second. Trump does not want never-ending military conflict. He would have negotiated in Europe. Think about that. Think about that for a second. He would have negotiated in Europe before the hostilities, before the invasion. They don't want that. They would much rather have the Lincoln Project, Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld, Clinton, Biden, Kerry, Democrats would much rather have never ending military conflict. They don't mind. It's not a problem for them. It actually behooves them because you have like this reverence for an alliance. That's the thing. It's like you have these intel agencies that are becoming part of they have these intel agencies that are becoming part of society in not just the United States of America, but other countries, especially other English speaking countries. Okay. Western countries, you have um, a lot more. A lot the intel community is out in the open. They used to be hidden in the shadows. They were supposed to protect the country from other intelligence agencies and hostile countries. Now it's, oh, well, you know what? The uranium sale that took place under President Obama's administration after Bill and Hillary's foundation got hundreds of millions of dollars, that's okay. But Trump had a dossier and people eat it up. They don't care. They don't care. If you talk about like wonderful, highly educated, morally superior liberal Democrats, they don't care about the First or Second Amendment. It's just an impediment to them. They like government when they're running the government. They don't like government when they're not running the government. And they certainly don't like certain rights. So this is really it. But okay, Mac Isaac still had not heard back from the Bureau because they were backing one political party, even though he discovered evidence of criminal activity. And so emails Rudy Giuliani. So he emails who was under bureau surveillance at the time. In early October, Giuliani gives it to the New York Post. Why was Giuliani under surveillance? Is the bureau ever going to look at a number of Democrats? Well, you can list their names. You mean that FTX was able to give, according to Elon Musk, $1 billion to Democrats and the bureau didn't know this? I find that very hard to believe. But apparently that's the case. Shortly before 7 p.m. Eastern, October 13th, Hunter's lawyer emails John Paul Mac Isaacs. Hunter, okay, I learned from the New York Post that its story about laptop will be published the next day. Special agent sends 10 documents to Twitter, the site head of site integrity, through teleporter, a one-way communication channel from the Bureau to Twitter. And a one-way communication channel. Okay? A one-way communication channel. I mean, Twitter became a part of the United States government. E.P. Gregory! Hello, H.A. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. Thank you. I suggest that Elon should step down as CEO and just interject when he has to. Lower public profile a tad. That could be even, you know what? That is something that although I was fearful of. E.P. Gregory, thank you so very much. Merry Christmas to you and happy holidays and happy Hanukkah. Thank you so very, very much. I agree with you on the fact that if he does sidestep the hysteria, the media, because the media has a way of like the media has this manic, hysterical, apoplectic laser focus on a person that it just wears people down. So I think that he was realizing that he didn't want the Trump treatment. He didn't want to be treated like Donald Trump. That's the issue. He did not want to be treated like Donald Trump. And E.P. Gregory, I agree with you. The only thing I'll say is with Elon Musk, I know who he is. Hopefully he will, because he said, "Be careful what you wish for." That would be amazing. Like if Devin Nunes leaves True Social and then works for Twitter, I mean, it'd be amazing. Or he gives it to Trump. Trump runs Twitter now. I mean, it would be amazing. But that you're right. The next 2 years, Democrats will not have um, The Democratic Party will not have Twitter as an extension, as a cyber internet extension. Great point. And if he does get somebody like that, could be actually another arrow in his quiver. So that could be actually better for the overall cause of free speech because you wouldn't have one person to obsess over. You'd have Elon Musk and a like minded person. Great point. EP Gregory, great point. Rehoboth Farms, thank you. Um, Free thinker, I think so also. I think also everybody here, um, free thinker, everybody here, Rehoboth Farms, thank you. I think that Elon Musk bought Twitter because he knew that government agencies, if they frowned upon him, would utilize Twitter to destroy him. Okay, that platform is used to destroy people, to demean people, to it is a credit score, so to speak, on a societal level. It is used to tarnish reputations. It is used to foment emotion. It's a battle for emotion. Most of the things leveled at Trump were not true, but the hysteria was enough. At the end of the day, Twitter was a liability to Trump. He needs to get back now because he needs to show the world like his vantage point. It would be nice if he toned down the manner in which he communicated, but it doesn't matter at this point. He almost has to just get back on Twitter and become part of the public conversation. He's not yet part of the public conversation. He will get back on Twitter eventually. And maybe that's why Elon Musk wants to step down. He did that on purpose, by the way. AP Gregory, great point. To my super chat, thank you. I cannot do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. At first I was thinking, why did he leave? Why did he step down? Why is he stepping down? Why is he giving them this kind of present? He then wrote, be careful what you wish for. And I think that I really, really do think that what's going to take place is the following. He's going to probably step down in terms of a ceremonial position, being the head of Twitter. Like Jack Dorsey said, oh, well, all my middle managers, they had control. I didn't know what was going on. He can control things without the publicity. He can interject alongside a new CEO or new head of Twitter. Yes. EP Gregory. That would be absolutely hilarious. Stephen Miller or like Devin Nunes or Steve Bannon. EP Gregory puts Steve Bannon on there. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Or like, like somebody like, Lauren Boebert or somebody that like the entire political ecosystem would completely just melt down from. Aria, hello. Um, that would be hilarious. But that's what I think is taking place. He doesn't want to be the focus of attention because what they like to do is they like to say they don't understand that it's always David versus Goliath. They think they're David, but they're really Goliath. They think that like the entire American political establishment thinks it's David and that Trump is Goliath. They have the slingshot. But that's not the case. That's not the case. They're the bullies. They're the ones who go after people and try to disparage and tarnish them and spread lies about them. Then they complain about lies. Okay. And by the way, the fact that government had that clear, direct communication to silencing critics. Angie, hello. To my members, thank you, everybody. EP Gregory, thank you so very much. To my super chat, thank you. Lewis, hello. The fact that They had a direct communication, a direct line of communication. The United States government was not protecting the country. The Bureau or the intel agencies were not protecting the country. Okay? They weren't protecting the country by trying to stifle conversation on a global commons. They were siding with one political party. E.P. Gregory, thank you so much. You know, ladies and gentlemen, the two words that you don't really hear when talking about all of this, I mean, you do if you watch this channel and other channels, but most people don't understand. They say, well, oh, the Bureau, oh, the intel agencies, oh, John Brennan, oh, James Clapper, oh, they said that Trump was in a Moscow hotel room. Oh, they were communicating with Twitter. Oh, they thought that Trump tried to overthrow the government. Oh, this, oh, that. Who benefits from this? Not the American people, definitely not the Republican Party, definitely not Trump, obviously. Who benefits from this? It's two words. It's a political party, the Democratic Party. Three words. The Democratic Party. Who benefits from all of it? Not national security. National security is uh, economic. The national security issues are economic and defense related, generally. Okay, national security issues are economic and defense related, generally. There are other issues too. There's environmental security. There's other issues also. Okay, it's nothing to do with information. Information is more of a like a deal with espionage or intelligence. Okay, the way that these government agencies view the public is that people are gullible and malleable and they have no thought process. And if they're given information about the Democratic Party, it suits the interest of another country because that'll influence people to vote for Trump. The answer is yes. Hunter's emails, Hillary's laptop, cheating Bernie Sanders will absolutely influence people to vote for Trump or DeSantis. Want to know why? Because people will see that Democrats are more corrupt. That's the problem. That's why they're so fixated on the information. It's really an emotion. It's a battle for emotions. Not really an information battle, but that's why they're fixated on that. They're fixated on all of this, and they're obsessed with all of this. New York Frank, New York Frank. Thank you so very much, sir. Thank you for watching. Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays. Thank you. Thank you, New York Frank. Thank you. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy everything. Happy Festivus to everybody. Um, EP, thank you. New York Frank, thank you for watching. I know it's cold in New York and other parts of the country. In California, Southern California, it's like cold for me is about 45 degrees. That's cold for me. Let me do a poll. New York Frank, is 45 degrees cold for you? I mean, I don't know if it gets that much. Like, it gets colder in New York. I know that. It snows, but here's let me ask you this. Is 45 degrees cold where you live? Because for me, I considered that cold. But for other people, Frank, it's just, exactly. It is in New York. Thank you, New York Frank. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you to my super chat. Thank you. Mm, that's right. Hugo Tamale. Yeah, I love that name. It's near. You know what? It's funny too because there are a lot of people who would say 50 degrees is t-shirt weather. For me, 50 degrees is like a blizzard. Wow, Brian, 7 degrees. I don't even know how. See, on the flip side. I was in Israel many, many years back, well over 20 years ago. I went to Eilat in Israel. It's like the hottest part of the country, and it was it had to it was like a 125. It was 100 about one. It reached I think like 125 with wind because it was like very, very, very hot and windy as well. Um, Thank you. Wow, -10. Thank you. Wow. So let's continue. Thank you to my super chat, EP, New York Frank. Thank you so much. Your super chat is greatly appreciated, people. If you want to bring up also any topic within reason related to the economy and related to what's going on. So the next day on October 14th, the New York Post runs its story revealing the business dealings of Joe Biden's son, Hunter. Every single fact in it was accurate. Every single fact in it was accurate. What does that tell you, people? What does that tell you? Every single fact in it was accurate. So now what does that tell you? Okay? That tells you that the United States, agencies within the government, sided with a political party. And by the way, you have people like Mitt Romney and Mitch McConnell who also side with the Democratic Party. That's an issue also. Oh, be joyful. Hello. 38 degrees. Wow. 22. Yep. That is cold. Lucky. That's right. Um, and yet within hours, Twitter and other social media companies censored the New York Post article, preventing it from spreading and, more importantly, undermining its credibility in the minds of Americans. On this platform, you could not talk about it. And you have to wonder, like, okay, are the same actors involved? Are the same actors involved? Okay, it can't be just Dorsey's platform or former platform. Michael, so on December 2nd, Matt Taibbi described the debate inside Twitter over his decision to censor the wholly accurate article. Of course it was accurate. Of course it was accurate. You could find out very quickly if it's the plot of another country. That's why when the DNC never gave its computer servers to the Bureau, that should tell you something. That should tell everybody something. Uh, it's important to understand that Hunter earned tens of millions of dollars in contracts with foreign businesses, including ones linked to the most populous country with uh, the most populous country in the world's government, for which Hunter offered no real work. Here's an overview by investigative journalist Peter Schweitzer. Peter Schweitzer is a national treasure. He really is. Peter Schweitzer is awesome. You should read his books. Fantastic. He's very good. And he's very, very good. Him and Tom Fitton and others, very, very, very good. And yet, during all of 2020, the Bureau and other enforcement agencies repeatedly primed the, let's say, top official to dismiss reports on Hunter's laptop as a hack and leak operation. But it wasn't. It wasn't. And so, this is a sworn declaration given. So, again, it's interesting. Like the issue here is that what if the information was true? So you should be on high alert for truthful information. I mean, the American people can let's just say there's this overreaching operation by the Kremlin or by any Beijing, any state actor, any major intelligence agency. So they're sending emails or they're releasing information detrimental to the Democratic Party that's fabricated. We already know that FTX. We already know the list of Democrats. Sam Bankman Fried was the second largest Democratic donor. Okay? He gave $40 million himself. $70 million in terms of FTX. The FTX the FTX company gave 70 million because other officials gave that money too. Okay? Other officials gave that money. So that's $70 million. Then Elon Musk stated that, hey, you have $1 billion. You have a billion. That Elon Musk stated that he gave $1 billion to Democrats. That's also a reason why you have these intel agencies siding with Democrats. Okay. Um, there's a political system that Trump came in and just like the knock on him was that he just was like a bull in a china shop. Like he went in and he just wanted to destroy the sacred cows, and he wanted to he wanted to just upend everything. And that's a good thing, to upend a very corrupt arrangement. You don't want never-ending military conflict. Okay, you want to be able to engage in tariffs. That's a good thing, to engage in tariffs if need be. Okay? If one country is engaging in unfair trade practices, you should probably be able to utilize your leverage at that point. Okay, China and India will surpass us in terms of in terms of overall economy, economic power and might and influence within 20 or 30 years. It won't be difficult. And so like we won't have that influence 20 or 30 years from now. That's the great thing what Trump was able to do, and this obsession with you know what derailed everything. We had a great economy. You didn't have to shut down government. You didn't have to shut down state governments. World class low. You didn't have to shut down governments. You didn't have to shut down governments. There was no reason to do that. Okay? You didn't have to shut down economic activity in these states. You didn't have to do any of that stuff. There was no reason to do any of that. So it's like we were in an economic position. We're also militarily and economically under Trump in a great position. We were in a great position. And that all came crashing down because an entire political system blamed him for something that wasn't his fault. And then more people lost their lives under Biden. Yet he wasn't blamed. So Twitter was a huge, like the fact that Elon Musk purchased Twitter, he did so for self-preservation, but it also, I mean, it does help humanity. It does help humanity. It really does. They did the same to Facebook, according to Zuckerberg. The bureau basically came to us and was like, "Hey, you should be on high alert. We thought there was a lot of 2016. There's about the same kind of dump similar to that, but it wasn't though. The 2016, the Democratic National Committee emails were legitimate, like they were the actual emails of the Democratic Party. That's the very bizarre thing. They were the actual emails of the Democratic Party. Okay? They were it wasn't false information or information that misinformed. It was information that gave you the truth. And the truth was then marketed as a plot by the Kremlin to inform you of how corrupt Democrats are. Bernie Sanders was railroaded completely. Bernie Sanders was cheated 2 primaries in a row. I mean, it's so easy to understand what's going on. You never, this is the first time in American history where the far left has control of intel agencies and media. That's never happened before. I don't think that's ever happened before. You have, if you had a left-leaning college course in Berkeley in like 1997, the people teaching the course now have complete control of intel agencies in the US. I mean, that's hyperbole. That's hyperbolic, but they have that mentality, let's say, has a tremendous foothold on the intel community and also um, media in general, and also government agencies, and also you know uh, authority organizations that are groups that represent certain industries, very important industries, very important to the lives of every American and every person on the planet. It's never happened before. So it's very bizarre. Very bizarre. And then you have, I mean, if it's not just that, you have um, just good, morally superior liberal Democrats. Not just the far left, but you have like liberal Democrats that have they're definitely in control of all these very important government agencies, publications, multinational organizations, also governments around the world. Well, I said Western governments in particular. Were the Bureau warnings of hack and leak relating to Hunter based on any new intel? No, they weren't. Through our investigations, we did not see any similar competing intrusions to what happened. But they haven't even proven that 2016 was this big effort. They never even looked at the DNC computer servers. They never looked at the servers. They're relying on a third party tech firm, and all you have is 3 agencies. Three, not the entire American political establishment. Well, the American political establishment, yeah, the intel community as a whole, there's like 16, 17 agencies. Only three said that it was an effort. But why would another country want you to know that the DNC emails showed that Bernie Sanders was cheated? Why would they want you to know? Why would they want you to know that? Why would they want you to know that? Well, that's interesting. Has anybody ever thought about that? Why would another country want you to know that? It's just they have taken their dirty laundry. They took their dirty laundry and repackaged it as um, a plot by another country. So, and it's like gospel to them now. It's like gospel. Um, they truly believe, they truly believe that, um, they truly believe that another country gave it to Trump. These are the greatest deniers of all time, by the way. These are the people who pontificate about denying, but they deny in their own way. So, Jigsaw, hello. Okay, so here you have, in fact, Twitter debunked false claims by journalists of influence on his platform. We haven't seen any influence to support the claim. I'll review this for a small scale domestic troll effort. But again, why would it matter though? Why is that so important? Are like, is the American citizen such a gullible like person that can't decipher what's true and false? Democrats think so. Certain agencies think so. The Bureau asked about a Washington Post story about influence. The article makes a lot of insinuations, but we saw no evidence of that case here. It's not the first time that it's pushed back against the Bureau. In January, resisted Bureau efforts to get Twitter to share data outside the normal search warrant process. So that's a good thing he did. Uh, Along with everything else that he did, going after conservatives, that wasn't so good. But here, pressure had been growing. We've seen a sustained, if not uncoordinated, effort by the IC to push us to share more info and change our API policies. They are probing and pushing everywhere they can, including by whispering to congressional staff. There you go. That's more evidence of First Amendment laws being broken. I mean, the internet made things less free. Isn't that sad? You're less free now. I had greater freedom growing up without the internet. Much greater freedom. You could go and have dinner with friends. There was no phone to look at. Okay? There was no phone to look at. You had to be in the moment at all times. Okay? You had to be in the moment at all times. The internet was supposed to give all like people this freedom. It was supposed to, you were supposed to be able to have, yeah man, thank you. Thank you. Yeah man, greatly appreciated. Real news, I appreciate. I appreciate you watching. Um, you know, I think that before the internet, you were forced to live in reality. You were forced to live in reality. Yeah, man. You are awesome, dude. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words and I appreciate just the positivity. You are awesome as well. Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. And thank you for supporting the channel always and becoming a member. I really appreciate that. And happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you. Yeah, man, thank you. When I would go out and when I was young in the late 80s, 90s, you didn't have, if you like, you know, met a nice a beautiful person, you would get her number on like a napkin and then she'd give you the number. You wouldn't just type it in your phone, or I don't even know what, maybe like they exchange Instagram or whatever. But you wouldn't get it. You wouldn't get you would get a phone number on a napkin, at the restaurant or at the bar or at the nightclub or whatever. And it was so much easier. You didn't like there was no GPS, so you'd have to call and say, "Hey, like where do you live? Okay, great. Okay, I'll pick you up." And you'd have to find out. I don't. How would you find out? You just find out. You just you just find out. So it was just so much easier when you were making plans. You call people. You'd actually call people and see how they're doing and meet up. I don't know. Now people are like beholden to technology. You can be in the same room as people. You could be in the exact same room, and people will just be on their phones. So I don't know. And now you have a greater ability for government to get involved. Growing up, also, the Washington Post and the New York Times, you could say they were left leaning, but they weren't what they are today. They leaned somewhat to the left. Like the worst thing that would happen, I remember growing up when Reagan was leaving office on ABC, there were these puppets where you'd have like Reagan as a puppet, and they would talk about like, oh, it's the end of the world. Oh my goodness. Like that was the extent of media going out of their way to disparage a president. Now it's just, I mean, you type in Trump, it's like we'll get to the criminal part in a second. But you type in Trump, it's just hysteria. Never ending hysteria. Yeah, man, thank you again. Um But here, time and again, the Bureau asked Twitter for evidence of influence. Twitter responds, they haven't found anything worth reporting. Despite the pushback, Bureau repeatedly requests information from. I mean, it's like, why would. What right do they have to request all this information? There's no crime taking place. It's already made clear will not share outside normal legal channels. Ranges for temporary top security clearance for Twitter executives so that the Bureau can share information about obstacles in the upcoming. See, this is the thing. Security clearance nowadays, or maybe always, is worthless when you're trying to simply convince people within the private sector that, oh my God, you have to listen to us. And you have to really make sure that nobody finds out the truth of the Democratic Party, my God, because it's national security. How is that national security? How on earth is Hunter's emails or the Democratic National Committee emails national security? The issue should be if the information is truthful, not where it came from. But they don't look at it that way. They don't look at it that way. The way they look at it is, oh my God, the truth about the Democratic Party or the truth about our political side is coming out. This can't happen. We have to stop it. We must stop the truth about our political party. We must. There's no way that the truth can actually come out because what happens? The truth makes people vote for um, uh, Trump. Arya, thank you. Thank you so much. So, on August 11th, information organizations through bureaus secure one week. They're also like there are a lot of people enamored with recently. There are also a lot of people enamored. Wow, look at the security clearance. Look at this. All of these top agencies are speaking to them. Wow, and they turned they've turned national security into whatever is good for the Democratic Party and whatever is bad for Trump. That's a problem, people. Hey, but look, you know what? Within the span of 7 years, he transformed the House of Representatives into Trump Republican House of Representatives Trump, and he also completely revamped, revitalized, reshaped, redefined the Republican Party. He did pretty good. Can he do better now? Yes, but he did pretty good. Recently, the head trust and safety person told one journalist that he had been primed to think that the Kremlin group before Hunter hacking about the when it did, he said it set off every single one of my finely tuned. See, that makes no sense. That's just an excuse. So here's the pretext. It set off every one of my finely tuned Kremlin operations against the country alarm bells. Uh, do you think that he'd have those alarm bells if it was information about Trump with having relations with a farm animal in Moscow? That would be all over. BuzzFeed would have already published that. They would have gotten Pulitzer Prizes at the Washington Post. And the Pulitzer Prize in 2020 goes to, drumroll, the Washington Post and New York Times for their expose on Trump having romantic relationships with farm animals in a suburb in Moscow. You know, when we found this out on Twitter, and technically it was against policies, but we did so because it's America and free speech. We knew that we'd be taking a lead, but speaking truth to power is so important. Now, though, it's like, Thomas O'Connor! Thomas! Angie, hello. Thomas O'Connor, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Thomas O'Connor. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you, Thomas. To my super chat, thanks, everybody. I can't thank you enough. I cannot thank you enough. Thomas O'Connor, I hope all is well. Merry Christmas to you. Have a happy, healthy new year, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you. Joel Valdez. Hello, HG. The Brunson case in SCOTUS will be the first, be considered on the 6th. Imagine that. Huge news. Yes. Joel Valdez. Thank you so very, very, very much. Huge news. Yes. Joel, thank you. Thank you so very, very much. As always, Joel, thank you. Thomas O'Connor, thank you. Um, can you imagine if can you imagine if could you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, if Trump, Joel, and Thomas O'Connor and everybody here, Angie, thank you. Could you imagine if there was a story about Trump of having like him having romantic relationships with farm animals in Moscow, and but we already know that they said he had a certain type of shower. Okay, but imagine the hot mic was definitely not an operation by another country. How could it be? The Washington Post reported. I mean, they couldn't have obtained the information from another country. Dun dun dun. But I mean, that was a hot mic from Access Hollywood. Yeah, but the Democratic National Committee emails didn't emanate from another country. It doesn't matter. We found out about that because of uh, a foreign intel effort. Well, then why wasn't Assange, who should be free, God bless him, or anyone, why weren't they indicted for conspiring alongside foreign operatives? You ask simple, basic questions, and it's like if you ask basic questions, the entire edifice of all of this intel nonsense comes crashing down. Joel, thank you. Thomas, thank you. I mean, that's simple questions. Simple, simple questions. You have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where you have a situation where the battle for information, battle for information is a battle for emotion. It's not about information. I mean, look what they cheated Bernie Sanders. So they cheated Bernie Sanders, and then they said, "Oh my God, Trump got help from another country." They don't understand. They don't understand that the duplicity is there. You focus, you obsess over a span of 7 years. You obsess about other countries giving you information detrimental to the Democratic Party. And then you do worse to your own candidates. And you silence and delete and censor the words and accounts of conservatives because you redefine national security as whatever is good for one political party. Wonderful, highly educated, morally superior liberal Democrats have redefined national security as what is good for their political party. That's it. That's not national security. National security is your economy, how your economy runs, and defense issues. What happens if, God forbid, Taiwan is invaded, or what happens if, God forbid, in Europe it goes nuclear, God forbid. Which we're talking about that because of everything that's taken place. So you have a situation where it's just getting worse. Well, it's getting better in terms of the paradigm. Like the pendulum is swinging towards DeSantis, Trump. Um, the pendulum is swinging away from Democrats. Let's put it that way, and towards Trump and DeSantis. But this is a very kind of duplicitous, disingenuous way. Well, I was told that there would be a foreign influence campaign. And oh, you know what? This story about Hunter really sounded like that. So then, in a court of law or in a congressional testimony, did you tell Twitter to silence the Hunter story? No, sir. Sources and methods, sir. No, sir. Sources and methods, sir. No, sir. Sources and methods. Sources and methods. Sources and methods. Is the sky blue? Sources and methods. Oh no. Do we all exist now? Are we breathing? Is reality a thing? Sources and methods. You can't go there. So they influence and they manipulate the private sector, and then they say, "Well, we didn't tell them to do anything." And like the bottom line is, I mean, one thing the FBI is right about, it's true. They didn't tell anyone to do anything, or maybe a holiday Yuletide greeting. Tough it out. Thank you. Tough it out. Thank you. Thank you. Tough it out. Thank you so very, very, very much. Hold on, I have to just get this one. Okay. Tough it out. Greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Tough it out. Thomas O'Connor, thank you again. Joel Valdez, thank you. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. Tough it out to you. Thank you. So, does anyone have top security clearance here? Da, da, da. Then it's who is Jim, the former counsel. Baker moved in and out of government for 30 years, serving stints at CNN. So this is like a lot of money. As general counsel, play a central role in making a case for making the case internally for investigation of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is an obvious hero when you look at things in aggregate. But if you're not into politics, you would never in a million years view Trump as a hero. If you're not into politics, like if you're not into baseball, there are a number of players who should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not going to bring up their names because like from the 50s or the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, you can pick players that should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not going to say their names because baseball aficionado who could be a highly educated, morally superior Democrat might say, that supporter of DeSantis and Trump brought up and he was trying to say Trump is a hero, so therefore that person shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. But if you are into like baseball, you could look and say, that person really should be in the Hall of Fame. If you're into politics, you understand what's going on. If you're an ideologue on the left, of course, it's not that they weren't doing anything wrong. These agencies were really trying their best to help the country. Investigating Trump has zero to do with national security and 100% to do with politics. Okay, these are politicized agencies. Now, the rebuttal will be, well, he wasn't indicted. He did relay information that wasn't true. Exactly, Brian. He did relay information that wasn't true. He did. This man Sussman did lie or did say that he wasn't going on behalf of Clinton. He texted that. That was a procedural issue by Durham's prosecutors. So the jury couldn't look at that text message where he actually lied. He got very lucky. But again, you have a very sordid Byzantine labyrinth of deceit that is quite legal. All of this is legal. The thing is, Trump doesn't engage in these tactics. He doesn't really care. He doesn't have like operatives and loyalists within the U.S. within these agencies. He doesn't really care. He doesn't have like he really just has like the 70 plus million, or he has like tens of millions of people who want him back in. He's 70 plus million who voted for him. But if you understand politics, you know that Trump is a heroic individual in all of this. He's the one who was tormented and he fought a very corrupt system. Now, did he communicate well? I think Trump is will go down in history. You look at those first 3 years and you remove his last year where it wasn't his fault, but media made it out to be his fault. Like how you can blame Trump when they blame Trump for his last year, they don't actually say what he should have done. Because guess what? All of the major Democrats and even the officials that they love were saying, don't even take it, don't like there's nothing to be worried about. Andrew Cuomo was saying there's nothing to worry about. Nancy Pelosi, even one of the bureaucrats they worship, they were saying it's nothing to worry about. They were all blindsided by it. Then they blame Trump. But if you look at and thank you again, tough it out to my super chat. I cannot thank you enough. Um, if you look at what he was up against and the fact that he still, like, you have to understand, they say that, well, we lost the Senate, Republicans lost Senate. Yeah, but they barely lost the Senate. And Democrats had all of these advantages. Like, Trump is running a 40-yard dash with a 100-pound backpack. Okay. If you remove that backpack, he defeats everybody in the 40 in the 40. Baker wasn't the only FBI executive involved in Trump investigation. To go to Twitter, former department chief of staff or bureau head initiated the investigation, joined Twitter in 2019, the director of strategy. So you have former bureau officials who just get, I mean, they might probably get, hundreds of thousands of dollars to join Twitter. As of 2020, many bureau employees working in Twitter, they created their own private Slack channel. So there you go. Efforts continue to influence Twitter. So They also like the hack and dump. Like, is the information true? Bobby, hello. Is the information true? That's the issue. They don't focus on the information because it's the truth about the Democratic Party. They don't want to focus on the information. So, NPR. I mean, then you get like, oh, there's no effort to, there's the media is not part of the Democratic Party. Like, these are all liberal Democrats. NPR, New York Times. It's changing, people. It is changing. This is not going to remain like this forever. Okay. It took a good 12 to 13 years to really change from the early 2000s Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld paradigm. It did. It took a good at least 8 years because in '08 you had President Obama, who then continued most of the policies that he was supposed to oppose. And so you have a situation publishes it's clearly how would it be there's no evidence, there never was, that the New York Post's reporting was of hacked material. Furthermore, it should be if the material is accurate. What does it matter if the material if here's the issue. The sacred cow is it can't be hacked. But you haven't even proven that it was hacked in 2016. All the intel agencies have is high to moderate confidence assessment. Tough it out. Thank you. Okay? So it's very bizarre. And if it's truthful, that should be the issue. See, notice how these wonderful agencies in the Democratic Party and media, they don't care apparently if something's truthful. They just don't care. They care how it's derived. So, and this would, by the way, never happen. You have to understand something. When they when you have here, so and yet it's inconceivable Baker and were either believed none of them believed anything. It would be inconceivable for this to take place. Um it would be inconceivable, ladies and gentlemen. Inconceivable for this to take place. Um in before Elon Musk. Okay. It would be absolutely it would be impossible. So, and so it's not it would never have been none of this stuff would ever have been possible. So while suggest from the experts, which rings true. So if logic, if you cannot prove your case with logic and reason, always fall back on the experts. Because when the experts are irrational, you could just say, well, we didn't have the brain capacity to understand, and the experts told us to do something stupid. Influence operation. And so the Bureau had warned officials. So, I mean, again, the issue was not how this information was derived. The issue was always, are the Democratic National Committee emails legitimate? Were Hunter's emails legitimate? And was the information truthful? If God Himself gave the information, what would the FBI say? That it's a influence campaign from heaven, and we can't let God, bring Americans to Trump. So, like, what's the like the rationale is always, oh my God, we're losing support. Britain, thank you. Britton Johnson, I hope all is well. Thank you. So you have a situation where apparently nobody cares on the left um, of the truth. Joel Valdez, Twitter revelations. Carrie, like, that's right, going to be heard. Brunson lawsuit will be considered on the 6th. Oh my. Huge news on all accounts. I think that Joel also 2023 impeachment. Immediately, Joel, I think in January, what are they sworn in January 3rd, right? I think that they're going to, I think that immediately they're going to subpoena Hunter. Oh my goodness. You use that word again. Sounds like something else. Joel, I think that, and the great point on all those, and I think also they're going to demand testimony from Hunter. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be very, very, very important. That will be the basis of impeachment. Thomas O'Connor, everybody here, thank you. EP, thank you. Thomas O'Connor, everyone. Joel, that will be a huge issue. That will be a huge, huge event, I should say, not issue, a huge event. It'll be a huge event because you're going to begin impeachment will begin. Do you understand, ladies and gentlemen, when they when impeachment begins, they're going to be like, this is no big deal. It's a fake impeachment. Oh my God, it's a fake impeachment. This is ridiculous. This is lame. Pony Soldier, thank you for being a member. Also, Pony Soldier, thank you as always. As always, Pony Soldier, thank you. Merry Christmas to you. Thank you. They're going to be like, it's a fake impeachment. It's lame. They're going to, it's just a fake impeachment. Um, it's going to be a paradigm changing moment because he will be an impeached president. Okay, for action, like for crimes that are far worse than anything Bill Clinton did, even though Bill Clinton lied under oath, like categorically. But the Clintons didn't start their influence campaign until after, at least you could say, the foundation, which was like a racket in and of itself, they started after. Joe was there as vice president while it was going down. The Clintons actually didn't even have that while they were in government. Sweet Sketch, hello. Brian, hello. So, and the pressure from the Bureau on social media platforms continues. So, this is just goes on and on and on. I have concerns when the government is running a misinformation operation on we the people. It's true. That's true. And you might ask, well, is anything gonna are they gonna go to prison, these people? Probably not. Some potentially. if 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 or when there are future scandals that are revealed where they lied under oath or where they have to testify as part of a criminal probe. Um, but these are First Amendment issues. When you have, there are a number of like Tom Fitton and Judicial Watch. There are a number of conservative groups who can sue, who can sue these. They might be able to even sue these people personally. It really depends. I don't know if they can, but they can definitely sue. I don't know if a lawsuit, a First Amendment lawsuit, could be leveled, after all of these officials are no longer at Twitter. So I don't know if they can be sued for their actions. I don't know if the Bureau can be sued. I think it can. But the fact that we know this is taking place is an important issue. Okay. The likelihood of corruption within the Democratic Party being revealed right before 24 is, if you look at 2016 and 2020, pretty high. Okay. Of course, I don't know any, I can only imagine. I have no clue if that's going to happen. I have no way of knowing, obviously, but Democrats are quite corrupt. The political party is a corrupt political party. The Republican Party is not as corrupt, not by a long shot, because they don't have the money to match up with, like, the FTX issue. That the fundraising of the Democratic Party is, it's probably the number one reason why they didn't give their servers to the Bureau, which is pretty obvious. I mean, you can ask like very simple questions, and the simpler the question, the better it is. The more information, the more truthful, the more of the reality you'll get pertaining to what's going on. Anyone who reads the Twitter files, regardless of political orientation, so should share concern. Okay, so let's go ahead first, switch topics a little bit. So this is DeSantis in 2018. GOP refers Comey, Clinton, McCabe for criminal investigation. So this is not new. It's not like this is like some kind of new thing. Joel Valdez, thank you. Pony Soldier, thank you. It's not like it's some kind of new thing. Okay, does anybody here remember in 2018 when DeSantis and others um when DeSantis and others you know, leveled a criminal referral? Who remembers that? Because I remember in 2018 there were criminal referrals leveled. Now they finally, at right before they're leaving for the biggest public relations stunt you've ever seen in your life, with the January 6th for each criminal referral, assisting and aiding and comforting. Okay, but he didn't do any of those things. And they take his um refuses to condemn. Okay, they take his defraud the U.S. Yeah, that is more his detractors. 18 U.S. Code 371. So this is a list of all the things that they couldn't prove in court. They basically gave a list of things today that they could not prove in court. Okay. And they said, wow, look at McConnell. And our entire nation knows he was responsible for that time. Well, the only sad point that he has, I mean, and you wonder why we lost the Senate. You wonder why Republicans lost the Senate. Do you think that they would ever? Where are the never Bidens? There are no never Bidens. The only culpability he has is having a day of demonstrations. He should never have had that day. Okay? He should never have had that day. And he should never have said, okay, you know what? We're going to go ahead and march outside the Capitol or protest. That was a pitfall of his own making. He should never, because if you old Democrats, yeah, there's a double standard, but he didn't commit a crime. He did not, and there were government officials that we won't even talk about because Ted Cruz has an interaction with government officials. So there should never have been that day. But at the same time, you have you have the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell blaming Trump, and beyond that, I don't have many observations. And then they're like, "Oh yeah," the notion that it was a bunch of people committing crimes independent of Trump, even though that's what took place all throughout that summer. I mean, you never blame Democrats for the $1 to $2 billion of property damage, and I agree with why people were demonstrating. I agree with why people were demonstrating. It was a noble cause, but no cause is worth $1 to $2 billion in property damage, even if it's noble. Obviously, the causes are different. One was noble, one was political in nature. Okay, but see, this is the thing. You're not going to win a battle of grievances with media because they will drown out and try to just, they use the word downplay. In a battle of emotion, that's the Democrats, that's the media's racket, emotion. Okay. They could have, here's how you know this is a publicity stunt. They could have indicted him 2 years ago. They could have indicted him 2 years ago. No, the property damage and the 14,000 arrests, not noble. 14,000 arrests, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of law enforcement, for thousands throughout the country injured, and you had supporters of Trump who lost their lives. One unarmed woman who lost her life. So it's you know that it is not going to you know that there is not going to be any actual indictment of Trump on any of these. They're not going to get Trump on January. Okay. I don't know how they might say, look, DeSantis is even better of a politician. Maybe they'll want to face Trump. Who knows? But they could have indicted him. Again, all you have to do is ask very simple questions. Why didn't they indict Hillary? Well, Comey explained exactly why they didn't. Okay? No reasonable prosecutor would indict. Where are the reasonable prosecutors with Trump? It's servers with top secret intel, okay, siphoned outside of the United States government. All right? So, no reasonable prosecutor would indict, but with Trump, apparently these are unreasonable prosecutors, and actually, they haven't indicted him because they can't. With Trump, the entire system, even Mitch McConnell's against Trump, but they can't indict him. If he's responsible, why haven't they filed criminal charges? That's the issue. Why haven't they filed criminal charges if he's responsible? I mean, that's an issue, ladies and gentlemen. Do you have any thoughts? Why haven't they filed criminal charges if indeed He's criminally responsible for January. Again, they're never going to answer that question. And it'll always go back to what's the word? What is the word? What's the word? It'll always go back to the histrionics, exaggerated dramatic behavior designed to attract attention. Okay, it's gonna go back to if you ask a simple question, if you ask a very simple question, okay, why didn't why didn't they charge Trump? You're never really going to get the answer. Like Democrats will never just give the answer that is the logical answer. The logical answer was, well, they didn't have any evidence on him. It was a terror. This is the thing with Trump too. He was such a like a force of nature, and when he viewed in his viewpoint, he wasn't able at that point because Twitter and because Facebook because he had no social media backing. He had very little backing within the Republican Party. And everyone blamed him for his last year in office, which wasn't his fault at all. It wasn't his fault. They don't ever say like what could he have done? What would they have wanted him to do? If he told what he should have done actually is tell the state tell different states throughout the country to shut down their economies. This way they wouldn't have, and we wouldn't have dealt with everything. But he should never ever in a million years. He wasn't criminally liable, but he was at times, even though Trump is very good, he's brilliant at understanding the dynamics of power in terms of business and even in terms of politics. He's not at times very good with understanding optics or he's not good with understanding the advantages, the competitive advantages of his adversaries. That's the thing. He's not good at understanding the competitive advantages of his adversaries. Okay, so meaning he should never, ever, ever have had that day in January. Could you imagine if he hadn't had that day? Like there was no day in January. They wouldn't have been. This is like one of the pillars of their apoplectic reaction to Trump. He tried to overthrow the US government. Oh my God. But see, that's the thing. There was this belief that, hey, Democratic groups and Democrats in general spent an entire summer with 1 to 2 billion. And so that's the paradigm now. So now we're going to protest and demonstrate. Don't work that way. It does not work that way. Um, it just does not work. There are too many obstacles we can't even really talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to very likely have another live stream tonight or an upload. Um, exactly, Eric. He did set himself up too. Exactly. Um, we'll have another upload or live stream before 11 p.m. And I just want to thank everybody here, everybody who gave a super chat. Thank you so much. Your super chat support allows me to do this, and Pony Soldier, thank you. And um, you've been so kind and wonderful always. So uh, I will have definitely more than one live stream tomorrow. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much. I will have an upload tonight, maybe two uploads, but be at the live stream tomorrow at around 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. And I'll have another live stream in the evening as well. Thanks, everybody. God bless. To my super chat, thank you. I'll have uploads in the morning tomorrow as well. I'll have some uploads this evening too. Might have a live stream, I'm not sure. I should have something on H.A. Goodwin's other channel as well. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so very, very much. To my super chat, I cannot thank you enough. You help me do these live streams. I can't do them